Hello, how you doing? So welcome to another one of my videos. This is a not a standard video, by the way. Here's my face, the man behind the mask, or the man with the mask. So fucking ugly. Yeah, so I'm just doing a bit of routine maintenance. Got some tyres to change, sprocket, chain on the T7. So what I'd planned on doing is I thought there might have been a bit of useful information in changing tyres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my life dead hard. I'm not going to use my stand, I'm not going to use my tyre machine. I'm going to do this as a non-trailside repair. So I'm going to use only the tools that I carry in my tool bag and in my backpack. And I'll show you how easy it is with a bit of technique to get the wheels off, get the tyres changed. Obviously the sprockets and change, you're not going to do that on the Trailside, but I'll record that anyway, but I'll put that on a separate video. So this video is just focus on the tyres, getting the wheels off, getting the bike jacked up, not using a trail jack stand, which I do want to get one, but I haven't got one. I only use a little cam lock strap with a bit of cord on it. So yeah, so we'll do front and back, and I'll show you how easy it is. Just give you that little bit of confidence to hit some more maybe far out difficult trails, and you can have the confidence where you can, you know, potentially make the repairs yourself and not get yourself all flustered and stressed out and ruin your day. Punctures aren't all that stressful, they're not that bad. Obviously if you've got the right tools, you've got the right attitude, and you keep calm mainly. So you don't make yourself even worse. So I'm in the garden today. Hopefully the rain stays off. It doesn't look too bad. So if you're interested in a Trailside tyre replacement, stick with us. Hopefully I can make it as interesting as possible, give you some little tips along the way. Yeah, we'll get these tyres off. Right then. So obviously here's the bike. So we've currently got a Mitas C21 on the front. It's still got a bit of life left in it, but you can notice it really badly on the trails now. It's starting to fade quite a lot. And then on the back I've got a Dunlop 908 with some quite nasty battle scars in it. I got a big chunk out of it. It's gone now. Tyre's pretty much dead. I would not recommend this tyre. I am absolutely over the moon it's coming off. I am sick to death of it. Obviously it's doing chains and sprockets as well, so I've done 7,800 miles on the standard chain and sprockets. They took an absolute hammering. It's not in bad condition, in all fairness. The front teeth on the the teeth on the front sprocket are starting to curl a little bit, so I thought now's the time. So here's my equipment. So I've got a ZF sprocket, which is quite pretty. So standard gearing, so 46 on the back, 15 on the front. Keeping with the 520 gauge, 525 gauge, sorry. So we got that. We've got a DID VX3 gold chain. JT standard front sprocket. And then in the meantime I'm going to be doing pads front and rear. Here's my tyres. So these are Kenda K760 Trailmaster 2s. The size is there, and you look at how aggressive it is. Some big knobbies there. This is a road legal tyre. It has got the little DOT Where is it? There it is. There's a front tyre. There's a back tyre. So it's a 120 by 118, but that is the same as a 140 18. It's just they've got random different sizes. So again, DOT. Look at the knobbies on that. Absolute monster of a tyre. So yeah, we'll get these on, get that pile of shite off the back, and we'll yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. Right then, so I'm going to do the back tyre first. So first, I'll show you what I carry in my bag. So this is basically just a normal cam lock strap with a couple of meters of tether on it. So to lift the back wheel, you're going to get your handlebar full lock like that, opposite of the stand, aiming towards the stand, sorry. And then if you're on the trail, you're going to find a tree or a fence post or something that you can anchor the bike to that way. So obviously the stand is on there, so you want to tip the bike forward. So I'll just put you down here. Sorry if it's all a bit rudimentary, obviously this isn't my normal thing. So just get familiar with the balance of the bike, just tip it over on the stand, dead easy, just find where that balance point is. So what you want to do first, ideally, lock on that front brake. So cable tight. Cable tight, and just lock that front brake on. Obviously we're pivoting the bike over on the front wheel, we don't want it to roll. So hopefully, bear with us, we can make some use of this video. So let's take you through what I've done here. So we've got our strap anchored to whatever you can. Obviously you want to anchor it to something lower than your handlebars, so it has that leverage, that cantilever effect. So I've literally just gone round the handlebars there. Right, so back wheel off the floor, only on the stand, front wheel's fully locked, front brake is locked on. So what you do is you find the balance point of the bike where it's centered on the stand, and then you just lock off your excess. Look how much excess I've got there now. So obviously just assume that's a tree or a fence post. Bike's solid, going nowhere. So obviously don't tip it too far over, because then obviously your bike will just fall over. So you want to get the balance point, and then you just want to bring it back a little bit, just so the bike wants to naturally fall backwards, and then just lock it off. And there we go. So there's your Trailside jack stand. So if there's no fence posts or, you know, anything, trees that you can anchor that around, then I'm sorry, but with this situation you're pretty much screwed. Anyway, let's carry on. So here's my little tool bag. This is what I carry. So I've got a 27mm socket, a few adapters onto my little Wearer adjustable ratchet. So I've already done the, well, I tightened it up before, in fact. So this doesn't need to be super tight anyway, but ideally I should have done this when it was still on the floor. Put that in the exhaust, take the chain off. make sure you catch your spacers and you're not going to get or drop and get full of mud. Obviously keep all your hardware together. Here we have 1 times wheel removed, bike still in the air, still nice and solid. So right, I'll work on the tyre. Right then, sprocket's off. It's not in terrible condition. The teeth look alright on that actually, so I'll probably keep that as a spare. So I don't want to show you how to change the sprocket because that's just teaching you how to suck eggs. So new sprocket's on. So let's take that out there. Let's flip him over. Obviously I'm cheating, I'm using a dust sheet. When you'll be doing this, you'll be in a shitty muddy lane covered in sheep shit and cow shit, and it'll be sloshy everywhere and it'll probably be raining. So yeah, so obviously put that to one side. So now's a good time to obviously inspect all your bearings and seals and things like that. So flip him over. So we've still got full pressure. This is a good tip for you as well. So most people screw the stem nut down to the rim. That's a no-no. You're supposed to have the stem nut tightened up to the cap. So that way it leaves a small amount of stem in between the nut and the rim. So then it reduces pinch flats. So your inner tube has sort of wiggle room and your stem isn't bolted tight to the rim. Which is a good little tip for you there. So get him out. So these I carry in my bag. That's all I'll be using. Just 2 spoons. Nothing major. So I also carry this in my bag, which is just a little hand pump. I won't be using this to pump that back up because it'll take me forever, so I will be using my big pump. Also, what I keep in the shed is tyre lube. Obviously you're not going to have this in your bag in the trail, but if you want to put some of this in a little pot and put that in your bag, it's handy to have the tyre lube. Do not use washing up liquid. I can't remember, it's not lime, or I think it's lye. It's got lye in the liquid, and it's heavily corrosive to aluminium. So don't use washing up liquid, use proper stuff. And also silicone spray, and that is to lubricate the inner tube. So I'll show you that in a bit. But you're not going to have that in your bag. Just assume this is a trailside repair and you haven't got those. Okay, where is... So I carry this as well. This is a little, I got it with a bottle of goo. It's just a little tyre valve key. So make sure let the valve fly out. There's our valve there. So obviously if you've got a puncture on the trail, the bead is probably already going to be broken on the tyre, so you won't have to struggle to break the bead. I am going to have to try and break the bead myself. It looks quite gummy, so it shouldn't be too bad. So let's see if I can break the bead, eh? So just use your own body weight, leverage, knees, boots, whatever you can. Right, so I've got the bead gone there now, so it's a bit of heavy foot pressure, just forcing a lever in there. You see now, the bead is it's broken. That's it, just get that bead off all the way around, and then same on the other side. Just be careful you're not putting too much leverage on that disc. There we go. So that is one notorious 908. Oh, bead broken. Right then, let's get spooning. So as well, you can't be scared of scratching your rim. You got to be a big brave boy, put your big boy pants on and just go for it. So nice equal space, so maybe what, maybe 3.5 spokes distance. First one, second one, keep the lever in there if you can. Not too much of a big bite there. That's it, and then just feed the tyre onto the rim. Once you've got it started like that, it's nice and easy. Just one hand. Pull the rest of the tyre around by hand. I'm going to go in. Get your tube out, which in itself can be a bit of a pig. Push the stem up, get the valve stem out. So all I'm doing there is I'm just creating space just to get the valve in. So there's our inner tube out. Obviously as you're doing this, make sure there's no rough edges around that rim. Chances are you'll snag the tube while you're pulling it out like that. So there's our tube out. So obviously at this point, this is where you'd stop, because you repair your tube, you put your tube back in, and then do the same, but I'm going to carry on taking this tyre off. And what you want to do, get the rim like this, get the spoon under the rim. You can see that on the camera. Hook it over the rim. Get the other one. Do the same. And then cover your eyes if you're squeamish. So yeah, you're going to do some damage to your rims, but I mean, you're in a terrible situation and you can't get home, so do what you must. And just like that, we have one rim, one tyre. There we go. So obviously, while it's off, just check your rim tape. Obviously make sure it's all intact. You've got nice holes in your no holes in your rim. Right, let's prep the tyre. So right, we got our tyre. First things first, check to see if the tyre is directional. Looking at this, you think it wouldn't really be directional, but in fact it is. There's a little stamp in there with an arrow. So obviously the arrow is facing that way, so that is our rotation of drive. So you want this side of the tyre on your sprocket side, so you know it's going the right way with the wheel. So tyre lube, really important. You can't add too much lube when doing this. Ideally you want to use a brush, but I'm at the Trailside, so I don't have a brush. I've got a little pot full of my jelly, so this unfortunately is all it's getting. So obviously just offer the tyre up to the rim and just try and push it round as much as you can. Obviously you're only putting one lip on, so you want to hook this part of the tyre under this part of the rim and then slowly feed the tyre onto the rim round there. So put it back up here so you see what I'm doing. Obviously keep the wheel pulled into you so the tyre doesn't start walking, otherwise you'll be chasing the same gap all the way around. So as you're pushing on this side, it's coming off over here, so get a tyre lever over there as well. both tyres are going on there. And use your knee. Just like that. One side of the tyre is on. Obviously that side I decided to go with it, but that's no biggie. You can just spoon this side back off. Obviously this is a 140 tyre going on a 150 rim, but I've done it plenty of times before on the Michelin trackers and things, and it works just fine. So there's our tyre safely on the rim. Now then, a lot of people put the tube in the tyre, offer the stem up, then put the tube and the tyre on as one complete unit, but I don't like doing that because you run the risk of pinching your tube a bit more. So what I should have done really before I put the tyre on was spray my silicone in there. So do the same with your tube. You can use talcum powder as well. Baby powder, as the Americans call it. Loads of silicone on there. Find your valve hole. Offer the tube up to your wheel. Sorry, I wasn't looking. Get your inner tube tucked in. Now, this is probably the most difficult part of the whole operation, is trying to get our valve, which is just there, into there with a tyre that doesn't want to stretch. So I don't know how I'm going to do this or how it's going to look, but what you want to do, get your lever, hook it in the other side of your tyre. In the meantime, you want your hand in the other side of the tyre like this. And try line it all up best you can, and then just proceed to struggle. There we go. We are in. And obviously my hand is just on the other side of the rim. So get your little nut. And now the fun really begins. So this is where it gets tricky. So the tyre lube that you may or may not have with you. If not, I mean, water doesn't really lubricate rubber, but I suppose if you've got a Camelback, you can just squirt some of your water on there. They're all nice and lubed up. So technically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to start opposite the valve stem. Why that is, I don't know, but let's do it anyway. So ideally you want both levers in to start, then you want to hold the tyre with your other lever, and then start spooning around the tyre. Basically if you try and use both, for every push you put on here, the tyre will probably pop off over here and you'll just be chasing the tyre around the rim. So let's get it started. And we're not too big a bite. Remember, just keep pressure on this other lever. start walking it around. There you go, so you see how much that tyre I just pushed on with my hands there. So obviously you get this back in, and then so what you want to do as well as you go round, keep pushing this tyre down into the centre of the rim, and that gives you more space around here, just so the tyre doesn't start getting hung up. And then just little bites at a time, just making sure obviously you're not getting the tube in between the lever and the rim, just like that. One tyre on one rim. So what we want to do now, put the valve core back in, pump it up, pop the bead. As you're pumping up, just check it's pumping up nice and even and your sidewall isn't getting hooked or stuck on the rim. Right, so that's our tyre all on. Look at that beast. Just rock it back in, tyre's on. Now this is a pain. Obviously the bike isn't straight. Let's leave it over to one side. So having to get the wheel in with the spacers and straight and in there for the brake pads is a fucking nightmare. In fact, while the brake disc is off, I'm going to change the pads. So see you in a sec. Right, so new pads are in, spindle is through. Now we just need to tighten down the nut, the chain's on. So what you want to do is get a rag or some tissue or something, stick it in the top here, spin the wheel back, tightens the chain, and then we know that our axle block is pulled tight into our axle adjusters there. Like so, free. And we just lean the bike back in slightly, undo your clamp, and just let the bike fall back. And that's it. We're back on solid ground. One tyre done. Let's do the front one. Beastie tyre. Right then, part two. So now we're going to remove the front wheel. So we're going to assume obviously this fence is a fence post, a tree branch, and what we want to do is we want to lasso this around the end of my handlebar, and it's going to go back on that angle, so right across on an axis across the stand to lift the front. So we're basically lifting it on the back wheel and the stand. So firstly, let's put him in gear. We've got a lasso there now on the handlebar against our tree or our fence post. So the first thing we do before we lift the wheel, we need to remove one of the calipers, undo our pinch bolts, and obviously undo that. So what we'll need is one of these little keys here, and what we're using is the 19mm, so that's a 19mm hex. So he goes in there. Now the end here is a 17, so I've got a 17mm ratchet. He goes on there. I've got my 10mm for my pinch bolts, and I've got my 12mm for my front brake caliper. So we'll get all that off and then we'll lift the bike over. Right then, calipers off, pinch bolts are undone, we've got our axle nearly out, that front wheel's ready to be pulled. Let's get the bike anchored back. Oh, you can see there now, the bike is up on the wheel. So strap down the handlebar. So you want to go right across the kickstand, that kind of angle, and obviously keep the bike on an angle to what you're anchoring it to. So you can see, front wheel's up off the wall, bike's over on its stand. Get the wheel out. There we go. Make sure we keep our spaces safe. Try and keep our spindle nice and clean. You see there now. Completely off the ground. Right. Same operation as the back tyre. Let's get it changed. So what you want to do now is we've got the new tube in. I just got a brand new one in because I was using the spare already. So I'll take the spare out and use it as a spare for the total packs. So the tube's in, but it's completely flat. So you want to pump it up a little bit, just so the tube isn't completely flat. So you'll limit the chances of pinching it. Working your way around, just ensuring you're not pinching the tube as well as you go. Make sure you keep pushing that rim down, tyre down into the centre of the rim. Little bites at a time. Go. Just push the tyre in, make sure you unseat it back from the bead again, just in case it's sealed itself. And then we pump it up. Right, so pumping it up, you can see the bead tucks inside the rim there and comes back out again. About 40 psi, so it's starting to creep out on its own, sort of. But if you can, just get your your tyre lever in. Just kind of help it out if you like. So tyres on equally all the way around the bead. Get my valve cap on and then tighten the nut back against the valve like that. Yes, the valve is a little bit pissed. I couldn't straighten up the inner tube, but that's exactly why we leave that gap. Over time, the inner tube will rotate in the rim and it will correct itself. So that's why you don't tighten the nut down to the rim. And make sure when you're putting your front wheel back on that the ABS ring goes on the left side. So that is always on the left side of the bike, your clutch side. Plenty of time I've done a Trailside fix and I've put the wheel on the wrong way around and the speedo doesn't work. So yeah, remember, ABS ring, left side. Right, let's get this back in. Right, front wheel's back in. Got new brake pads on as well. You can see some nice new sintered ones. So I've got the axle tightened in, I've got my caliper on. Leave the pinch bolts loose. So what you want to do is when you lower the bike, you want to lock your front brake on and push the bike up and down so you can press in the forks. And then what that does is it gives the fork leg time to twist and correct and move on the axle. And that way your suspension's not binding. So don't tighten them until you've done your thing. I'll show you that now. So we'll get the strap loosened off. There we go. That's that out. See what you want to do. Front brake on. Just give a couple of compressions on the front there. And then we can go ahead and tighten down our pinch bolts. Don't need to be super tight with these. Just tighten down snug. So one at a time. One, then the other, then the other, then the other. You don't have to go crazy with them. That's it. One front tyre change done. Now for the chain. So there's another little tip for you, how to spin the bike round and the kickstand there. So if you're in a tight space and you can't physically manoeuvre the bike around, there you go. Easy. Just spin it around on the kickstand, just pull the bike over, find the balance, and just walk it around. Nice and easy. Right, now let's do the chain. Chain on. I've already bent the tabs out on the locking nut, so that's already loose, that's ready to come out. So I'm going to split the chain, get the chain off, we'll put the new one on. Job's a good one. So, sprocket. So because this is a rivet link chain, the standard one, I'm just going to get my angle grinder. I'm just going to grind the head off the rivets so it's flat. You get a flathead screwdriver in there, knock it in, pull the face off, knock the pin out, split the chain, and then your chain's off. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go, just like that. Chain's off. But yeah, I've got my chain on, so this is 520 gauge, 525 gauge. It comes standard with a rivet link, but I don't really like rivet links, so I purchased a separate split link. So that's what I'll be using, and I'll buy another one as a spare and put it in my bag. So the split link, the closed end goes in the direction of travel. So that split link will go there like that, or in that way. Okay, very important. That easy to get on with a pair of needle nose pliers. Like I say, 122 link, 525 gauge. I've had to put my axle block further that way. I was hoping I wouldn't, because I want the axle as far this way as possible for you know, a bit more high speed stability. But hey ho, you can't get what you want, can you? So once this is on, I can then tighten up the nut and then knock down my lugs on my front sprocket. So I'll do that. So I'll get my 30mm on my wrecking bar. I'll stand over the side of the bike. I'll stamp my foot on the rear brake to lock the wheel, and then I'll just swing off that nut as hard as I can, for as long as I can, and then just knock in the locating tabs on the spindle there. So yeah, so split link comes standard with rivet link. I'm putting a split link on, and then I'll get a spare to put in my bag. So that's it. So 122 links, ZF 46 sprocket, very nice, quite cheap as well, 52 quid. So it's aluminium inner, steel outer, and then just standard JT 15 tooth sprocket on the front there. That's quite nice, isn't it? The gold on the blue. So excuse the changing video. I've had to revert to my phone because I didn't put enough charge in my camera. So I've got my split link on. That's it. So to get the first plate on, what you want to do is get some mole grips like this, and then you want to pinch. You want to pinch it there, but so it overlaps. So you're in between the links. So then as you're pinching this plate on, it's flush with the other two, so you're not going to over squeeze it on. And then obviously your split link goes on, closed end in the direction of travel. So the chain goes that way, your wheel spins that way, closed link that way. So I'm just going to readjust this now, because obviously it's quite slack. So my rule of thumb, there is calculations for this. Obviously, with the pivot point being your swing arm and your wheel comes right up, the further your wheel comes up, the slacker the chain goes. So ideally, what I want is about 3 fingers, adjustment, 3 fingers of slack at the end of the chain guide is roughly where I'll do it, and then we've got plenty of slack then. And then once I've got that all tightened down, I can tighten up me nut there and get the lugs hammered in. Right, let's get that done. Right, that's it folks, all done. It's just in time as well, because the good old British weather never lets you down. Is starting to piss down, so it's good timing. So yeah, Kenda K760 Trackmaster 2s, front and back, on eBay. I think they're on twotires.com. I think it's £111 for the pair delivered, and it was practically next day delivery. So yeah, made up with that. ZF sprocket on the back, JT on the front, We got me brake pads all round, 2 tyres changed, and yeah, all ready to rock. And then next week, me and the boys are out in Raider doing a Nanty mock. Yeah, we're doing Nanty mock, clearing reservoir, yeah, lower clearing. Sorry, fuck that camera right up there, haven't I? Yeah, so join us next week for another little adventure. Stay safe, guys. Peace.